Um, I would like to get on with our next speakers. They're also very special to me. Olgaç and Sıla will be joining us shortly. I can see them now. Sıla is here, definitely. And Olgaç is also here. I will give a short background story and then they'll be joining us. Olgaç is really one of the most authentic and successful photographers in Turkey. And we really hope that he will be joining us because he can really contribute to the conversation as he constantly explores challenges, the conventional beauty standards, gender roles, cultural and religious associations, which we definitely need to discuss in Turkey more. He's based in London and he has a hybrid perspective of the Eastern and Western roles. And his cultural awareness and sensitivity to personal identities mixed with fashion and documentary is what makes his works feel simultaneously nostalgic and foreign. And he was featured in British Journal of Photography's One to Watch in 2019. And it was stated that like Bozalp has been at the forefront of a movement to diversify visual culture and introducing new ideas about gender, beauty, and race. And he will be moderated by Sıla, and Sıla is also one of my favorite journalists, and she's also nowadays doing creative consultancy. She's been working in fashion for 15 years as an editor and correspondent and publishing director roles in different media outlets. And she's now supervising producer from textiles to art, also co-founded her firm called Y-Slang, and which is also a multidisciplinary collaboration platform. And she's focusing on creating new generation media and content with her young team. And their work ethic is concentrated on a mindful and sustainable attitude towards a new world. So I would like to welcome them. And so stage is yours if you're here.
Yes, thank you.
I'll mute myself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, Olgaç.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, yeah?
Yeah, really good. Sıla is my really good friend. You know, we talk all the time, so it's kind of weird for me speaking in English with her.
Yeah, it's the first time actually that we're speaking in English in public or personal. Okay, so you will share some images of yours while we talk, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
While you'll answer my questions. And sorry, just a sec. So just a quick question about you for a little intro. Let's wind it back to the beginning. How did you decide to go to London, and why, and how did you shift to being a photographer? Because your reason going there was something else, as I know.
Yeah, so I went to Cyprus in 2006 to study acting. And then I went to school in the acting school around a 2 year. And then I got like massively failed from all my classes. So first year, I kind of lied to my parents. I passed all my class. And then second year, and same thing happened again. I was like, and around that time, I was, you know, taking photos of my classmates. And I was like really into like, you know, putting them into characters, you know, trying different things. And then around the second year, it kind of became obvious, you know, I was going to leave the school, and I enjoyed taking photos more than acting. Yeah, and I couldn't really find like a good photography school. Like I really specifically wanted to study fashion photography, and I couldn't really find any good school around that time in Turkey. But I still tried to get into school in Izmir, and I couldn't like I couldn't successful about that as well. I couldn't pass the exam with that Izmir University as well. And then I ended up going to London.
Mm-hmm.
I went to London to study photography. Yeah.
Sorry, say that again because
I did a bit research. I was gonna go to London and study in London College of Fashion just to be a fashion photographer.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a surprise that we see this kind of idea of performance always in your works, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the studying acting around that time definitely affected my work.
Mm-hmm. So next question, but maybe you can, at the time being, you can prepare some pictures for us, some photographs for us. It will be about your documentary works, your personal works, and your abstract works. But I mean, feel free because.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand where I can start screen sharing.
It is down.
Share screen, yeah.
Third screen, yes, the green one. Yeah. So as a viewer, it's pretty clear to define his works in three groups, as I said before, like documentary works, the personal works, the work that the continuing work that he does with his father, the collaboration, as his father wants to call it, by the way, and the abstract works. We can say, I can say that his work map is pretty obvious. And I guess when working with a fashion brand, I assume it must be easy for you to focus more on the idea of showing the story.
Sorry, Sıla. Sorry, it's just for I'll invite Philip or Nina for their child support. Okay.
Hi,
Yeah.
Olga.
Can you?
So before you share your screen, just open up your presentation first. And then after you press the green button, you just select the presentation before activating it. So if you stop sharing.
Yep.
And open your presentation.
So I was just showing things from my website.
That's okay. So just have the screen ready underneath.
Yeah.
And then, so don't minimize it. And then when you press share screen, you can select that window.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I guess, yes, perfect. Okay. So I'm going again. Your works are in like three groups: the documentary ones, the personal projects, personal works, and the abstract works. We can say your work map is pretty clear, and I assume working with a fashion brand, it is easy for you to focus more on the idea of showing the story. The clothes are kind of like a company, more like blending in that moment. So your distinct signature of yours stays in every photograph you take. So this point of view, this structure, did it just happen, or how did it become? How did it divide into these three groups? And does this structure allow you to be more feel more free and sustainable at your work? And would you have a certain way to define yourself if you look at your own work over the years?
Yeah, I think in the beginning I started mostly doing, so I didn't so I just wanted to clear, I didn't have this sort of aesthetic until 2016. I
Mhm.
was doing a lot more like kind of commercial style, like very glamour style. I really try to, you know, copy what is like who's already successful in the field, like more like Western photographers. And I thought if I do something similar, and I'll get the, you know, same result in my career.
Yeah.
And then that didn't really happen for a long time. And then I was like, you know, I'm gonna try to do, you know, my own stuff, you know, and I decided I'm not really gonna try to, you know, create a career based on the, like, some of the people, like, they're known because they shot like AYZ, you know, like for this famous person. And I was like, I'm gonna find my own people. But that's how I really started. And then first I went to Turkey. I photographed like like some young guys. Like we did a collaboration with Gucci. And
Mhm.
then I photographed my dad in Jordan. That's kind of how it started. That was the first like two project I did. And then I got a big commission in France. They asked me, there's a magazine called Antidote. They asked me to like do an entire book, like kind of like 300 image, like you do your own book. So I ended up going to 6, 7 different countries. And in that period of time, I decided what I really want to do more. Well, like most of the stuff, it started in Turkey. You know, I wanted to cast people and like try to create this like absurd, like irrelevant characters. You know, you don't really like expect to see these people in this sort of way. Like this is actually a recent one. And then yeah, my dad stuff, I started around the same time. And then I think I found myself a bit like repetitive after like 3, 4 years, because I got a lot of commission with this aesthetic and I had a chance to travel to a lot of countries. And then I decided to do, you know, something new. That's when I start adding my abstract works,
Mhm.
which I can show. This was kind of one of the actually first one. And I shot this. I found these people in Konya, in my hometown from Sanayi.
Can you tell us a little bit about Konya?
Yeah,
Where you?
Konya is like actually where I'm from. That's where I grew up. So I was in Konya until I was 18. So I
Mhm.
didn't really live abroad until that time.
Yeah, but
I didn't really leave Turkey, sorry.
the character. I want to hear from you the characteristic of the city that you've born, because that is very, very important, actually.
So like Konya is like one of the, you know, one of the most religious city in Turkey, you know, like very conservative. But because my parents and my grandfather, they're all coming from army background, we didn't really have a like a similar background. But I grew up in this sort of contrast environment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I didn't really like growing up in there. So like actually when I go and read my what do you call that? The things you write every day.
Diary.
Diary, yeah, diary, yeah. And I always say, oh, I hope I'm gonna live in here one day. I hope there's gonna be earthquake in here, like really nasty stuff. I hate it that much. So I didn't really like living in there at all. But a lot later on, it really inspired me. All this tacky stuff, you know, all this the women gatherings, you know, in my apartments, like my relatives in Konya. It's inspired me, and I decided to shoot a couple of the stuff in there actually
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in this series. This is in Konya as well.
Mm-hmm. I interrupted you. Sorry, by the way.
No, 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 go on, no problem. Yeah, so I and then I ended up in a lot more abstract works, like, you know, last couple of years, which I really enjoy, and I
Mm-hmm.
still try to, you know, explore this irrelevantness, you know, randomness, and And we did this series lately in Istanbul, which we photographed this 60, 70 years old man, like kind of crushing each other. But I always try to, you know, the main element, try to keep it in my work, that realness. And this, I definitely have, I'm really into like humor. I like to, you know, make it a bit funny things sometimes as well. So like the and realness and humor, I think the main elements with the work.
So are there any specific elements a project needs to have for you to consider working on it? Or is it some kind of gut feeling for you as well?
I think it really needs to be personal to me, you know, what is this story like representing, you know, and I always like trying to be careful. I want to make sure this is not just a job and work and something like memorable for me. Then I can look back and remember things. And I want to, you know, hang out with people, enjoy it. So that's why I don't really like to take photos in studio, go to studio, work with the team. Like, so nobody really remembers each other. And that realness and the story part is just a really big element, I think.
Will you also show us some video or later?
Yeah, I can definitely show this video. Should I just like play it from here?
I don't know. I guess so.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, Philip.
Yeah, go.
Okay.
Dediğim gibi arkadaşlar, uzun lafın kısası, tehlikeli sokaklardan lüks semtine yapılan yolculuklara benzer. Emanetten ayrılıp manitanın koluna girmek. Yürek ister cesaretli olabilmek. Elbette kolaydır. Lüks semtlerin tehlikeli sokaklarında güçlüyüm diyebilmek. Belki villalarda, köşklerde dünyaya gelmedik. Cebimizde paramız, altımızda son model arabamız yoktu ama gökyüzüne baktığımızda tüm yıldızlar bizimdi daima. Sen beni tanımıyorsun ha, baba.
Kara para nasıl döner? Yani yan kesici, banka hırsızlıkları, bunlar. Yani şöyle diyeyim sana, zenginden alıp fakire verirler. Aynı şey gibi. Robin Hood gibi vallahi.
Adana nasıl hırsızlık, ne ararsa her şey var yani.
Bu Adana'da her mahallede, en elit mahallesi de olsa bir insanın illaki bir dosyası var. Simitçiymiş, berberiymiş, midyecisiymiş, oymuş, buymuş, yani sokakta yürüyen yaşlı bir dayıymış. Hepsine sorsanız hepsinin bir suç oranı vardır.
Koş beba boş, gerek ortama boş, topu ortala dostum. Ortaya koy, sanın Allah'a emanet, bizlere borçlu. Boş ve de olsun, ilerisi boşluk. O nasıl iş kızım, şekil yapıp kızım. Başlangıç sıfır, hasım bekler ısım. Kısılmadan üfür, tükensin gücü.
Benim gençliğimde saçlarımız böyle ayırmalıydı, böyle. Şuradan şöyle ay çiçeği var ya, şuradan şöyle ayırmalıydı. Gençliğimin saçları böyle yoktu bizde.
Yani bu Aperture tıraşı çok yaptım. Hiç sevmediğim bir modeldir yani. Gelen müşteri de o tarz istenimlerde bulunan müşteri de bir şekilde onun tipine uymayacağını veyahut da başka bir model yaparsak daha uyacağını anlatarak bir şekilde o modelden aslında fikrini değiştirmeyi bile düşündüğüm çok olmuştu.
Zengin insanların bu tıraşı Keko, Jono, Rızo diye adlandırdığı bir tıraştır. Biz bunu Azer bülbül tıraşı diye sınıflandırırız. Bu tıraş herkese yakışmaz. Bu tıraş kafa yapısı düz olanlara, ne bileyim yüz siması güzel olanlara. Yani bu tıraş herkese gitmez. Kepçe kulak olmayanlara, yani o tarz insanlara gider.
Ben bir dizi izliyordum. Vikings diye bir dizi. Orada tarihi bir karakter var. Ragnar Lodbrok. O adamın saç şekli çok hoşuma gitmişti. O şekli yaptım. Yani yanları aldırıp sadece üst kısmı bıraktım. Örüyordum bir ara saçımı. Daha sonra belli bir süre sonra kestim saçımı. 3 numara.
Gözü kara insanların memleketi Adana'dır. Kimsesizlerin şehri Adana'dadır. Doğal olduğumuz için çok şey kazandık. Hiçbir zaman yapmacık olmadık. Korkmak korkakların işidir. Hayat cesurları sever.
Dostlarıma selam, düşmanlarıma oğlak diyorum oğlum.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
would you like to talk about this project a little?
Yeah, we shot this story last year. I think last year in March in Adana for days. I suggested the art director around the time there is this like culture in Turkey, this Aperture culture, like, and they have this, you know, hairstyles. You know, I would really like to go and explore.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we got that, there are like actually more like they have like duzos, other stuff. You know, we find out when we got there.
Mm.
But
sorry.
yeah.
How was it? Was it scary to walk around those neighborhood?
Because actually, apparently, I didn't really know because I've been living in abroad, like, you know, for such a long time, and it's actually one of the most like dangerous neighborhoods in Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
They were super alright with me, but once I, you know, published the, you know, video, I got a like huge attack from Adana. Like they're like, this is not our city and stuff like that. They got super, I think, annoyed with me.
And they made you remove it from
absolutely, yeah,
media, right?
They message Days Media and then they try to take it down.
Yeah.
But I never ask people to talk about crime, you know, they just told their stories.
Yeah. This country is a bit different, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Country. Yeah. So you as Anil said also, you constantly challenge and explore the conventional beauty standards, the gender roles, culture and religious associations, and you do it as a Turkish native. These are the things that as Turkish people that we really need to discuss and talk about. You're underlining those subjects actually.
Yeah.
I think what you do is that essentially the communication of the message you're putting out there. So from here, I'll jump to the idea of being local and then I'll come back here. So being local meant being reserved, kind of withdrawn, but now it's totally the opposite. It's okay. Like keeping the soul of being local in your work shows directly your characteristic of your work. But especially in Turkey, it is very difficult to obtain your personal style, your sense of style in any job. And to be honest, there is a huge longing for the European or American way of thinking, living, dining, everything, etc. And like people are totally trying to adapt those kind of values and living styles. And rather than taking strength from being what it is to be Turkish. I think we can claim that you are the only photographer from Turkey, let's say, in the fashion business, who constantly interconnects his culture with the glossy world of fashion, along with a with an example photograph of yours. How do you manage that? And how do you find the balance? How come your pictures don't look tacky? Yeah, what is your core strength, and what do you think that shaped your style?
I think, you know, in industry, like all these big brands, they are definitely selling these products to us, you, like Middle Eastern countries or all these countries, but I feel like they're not like really represented on the product, in my opinion. I think that really bothered me for a long time. And I also, you know, a lot of, I think, Turkish know that a lot of Turks grew up, I think, with a big complexity, you know, with their self. And like, if you tell a Turkish person you don't really look like Turk, you know, they will be really happy, you know, they will proud of that.
Yeah, and also
take it as a compliment.
I want to interrupt, and also there's this thing that I'm really annoyed. As you mention it, I want to mention it also. Like when we walk around Beyoğlu, for example, Olgaç, you know, people are sometimes like, oh my God, it looks like Rome. And I'm so annoyed of that, because it's Istanbul, it's not Rome. You know, why do you keep saying that? It also shows, I mean, it's really deep in kind of like in our DNA, like we cannot help it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really definitely triggered me to do like my own culture thing. And I really wanted to focus this Middle Eastern culture. And I didn't really like the idea, like I don't have to do what everybody is doing to be successful. Like I think being in London, kind of growing up in London, because I've been living here like for 13 years, definitely gave me this perspective, you know. Like when you walk around the city, there are like restaurants from all different cultures, and like all the customers go in there because of who they are, like for their specific recipes. And I don't have to copy what everybody's doing. So I am the Turkish food in this, you know, market.
Yes,
so I just wanted, first of all, I decided to be okay about who I am, you know, this is the way we are. And I really wanted to push this Turkishness and the Middle Eastern culture with my work.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, you know, definitely represent that community. Not just from Turkey, like generally. And I really like, and then I decided to travel to like other Middle Eastern countries like Jordan or like Oman. And I went to Iran a couple of times. And I found like various similarities, you know, between my culture and those cultures.
Yeah.
And I've been pushing this like last 5 years quite a lot.
So can you also say that you feel more comfortable about yourself too in these?
Absolutely. I think, you know, because I'm doing what I want, and a lot of the commercials or stuff coming to me because of what I'm doing, I'm not really trying to adjust myself to client and stuff with the fashion work. Yeah, I definitely feel comfortable, and yeah, I can definitely say I'm definitely more relaxed and I enjoy it more. It doesn't really feel like 100% work. And it's been always my dream to travel with the work.
Then we'll wind it back a little again. So let's talk about the anxiety that comes with the job itself, and specifically with creating, mirroring your own true self directly. So they say if you're not one of the 100 people that everyone talks about in the fashion industry, then you are struggling. Have you suffered from this whole nobody sees my work thing? How did you make people notice your art? And how did they notice you? How was that journey in between?
I think so, yeah. I didn't make money probably until last 2 years ago. So last this 12 years journey, and you already know, but you know, when I moved to London, it's like after my first year, I like sold sandwiches, I work in the clubs, you know, I did all sort of jobs my first 2 years. And I managed to open as kind of a studio in Hackney Wick, and then I lived in this in kind of factory around 6 months without any shower and kitchen, and I was going to gym every day to take shower. Around that time, I think I ended up meeting a lot of creatives. I definitely went through all the hassle. But I think I also, because I never really studied and I never really assisted, it took quite a long time for me to understand the business side of it, like to find the uniqueness about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think until I start doing this sort of more identity, more cultural stuff, it was always struggle for me. And when I started this style, because I needed a bit time to, settle with this aesthetic, it also took another few years to people to understand, and then they recognize my work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I will definitely say it's been only like last 2 years, it's been kind of better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I know that lots of photographers find it challenging to work with agencies mostly these days. And I know that you're promoting your work without an agency for some time now, and you don't want to
Yeah.
work with an agency. And especially in the art world, promoting your work is so close to promoting yourself that can feel awkward and strange. How does it work for you? I personally think that that is kind of can be like out from a comfort zone, but like a good thing for one's personal challenges. And I always think that the artist must feel stronger this way. But also, how does it feel?
Yeah, I used to be with two different agencies, but it didn't really work out for me. I ended up, not getting a lot of jobs at that time. And then with this all the social media and everything, I realized they're kind of trying to use the same platform as me, trying to expose the work. And like when you look at some photographers or artists, they have like more followers than those agencies. I think with the social media, I felt like I don't really need those people. And I also realized I don't think I need those magazines to expose my work. Like I am in everybody's phone, I have more control over my stuff. And with the agency, I think it was difficult, but you need to, there is like certain expectations, and I think it didn't really work out for me. I needed to have more control over my stuff to negotiate with the clients and stuff. Yeah, I ended up not really working with agency, and I hear from a lot of artists in London, they feel the same,
Mm-hmm.
especially lately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And lastly, I would like you to talk about your personal projects, especially the one with your father. Maybe you can show some pics um, of that project, or
Yeah, okay, this is the, yeah, so you guys see my screen, right?
yeah.
Yeah, actually, this is the first. So my dad traveled quite a lot. This is, I think, how I got into traveling. He's been like, I think, over 80 countries. So until 2014, I've never been in abroad except England. My dad took me to Japan, and then that's when I got the virus, and I decided. So we traveled a couple of countries, and then my dad suggested going to Jordan together. And I was like, I really want to photograph something in there about what I'm going to photograph. And then I'm like, why don't I photograph my dad? Because I always found my dad super funny. He was always the entertainer guy in the family, making everybody laugh. And he's also really into recording. He recorded like all our childhoods around 15 years. And I kind of wanted to give the same thing back to him. And then we did this like very randomly in Jordan with my dad. Like when I photograph in my dad, I don't really have a like aesthetic concern, you know. I don't really care about if he's gonna look cool. Like I don't care about the composition. It's more about the moment, I think, with him.
Mm-hmm.
So we did this like very, okay, I'm showing really quickly, Jordan 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually I most of the job I think came through, all the big commissions came through from this series.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna repeat this every 2 years. And then we went to India 2 years after.
Mm-hmm.
So in total, in 5 years, I did 4 different series. So I'm gonna show really quickly. And I really tried to put him in a different character every time. So in here, I asked him to leave a mustache, which I've never seen him before with mustache while I was growing up. And my dad has a like really strong character. He's always tried to control the image, you know, like he knows, he thinks he knows best about how he's gonna look. And then, yeah, we went to Oman a year later. And then, but by the time, I think my dad's like, so in the meantime, so he become quite known with my work, you know. So whoever I met, like everybody was asking about my dad. Oh, you are this guy, you know, photographing your dad, right? And then every time I go to job meeting, client meeting, so everybody was asking about him. And then I dyed his hair in here. So this is the third series. He actually looks a lot more younger than all of them. And then obviously the pandemic started, we couldn't really carry on. And I'm like, okay, you know, let's try to do something in Turkey. And but this time he's already like confident, and then brand asked him to be a model. And then I recently did a job for like Camper. They designed like customized shoes for him. So he's like confidence and ego like top of the mountain. So he knows how to pose. He knows how he's gonna, you know, like angle the camera. He completely directed to me. We actually got into fights so many times. So I actually got angry at him a lot of the times, like, oh, you know, this is my job, just leave it to me. But the photos ended up being quite cool, actually. I was so regret. Because when I was growing up, I was always questioning, is it really me thinking he looks like random and funny? And then I think I got the same reaction from the people. So this is the latest series of on the 5th year. And then with this series, we travel through the places where he grew up, where he spent his childhood in Mersin, Silifke. Yeah, that's it, really.
Amazing. So I think that's it. We're it.
Amazing.
Thank you, Olgaç, for being truly authentic. And thank you staying at the positive side of things and celebrating the things that we've been experiencing in this region. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for having me too.
All right, guys. Speak to you later. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olgaç. It was fantastic. I mean, I was really looking forward to your presentation. What I wanted was fantastic. Thank you, Sıla. It was so good to see you both. And the questions were really deep. And I think you were so right by your latest statement. Being authentic to yourself, especially in this region, is not that easy. But if you manage